Bacon's Rebellion is one of our first examples of colonists acting out for what they believed in and speaking out against the English government. That is huge. Remember, the Stuart kings ruled with absolute power. When King James I took the throne, he removed Virginia's colonial assembly and replaced it with a royal governor.
You can imagine that the colonists had become quite accustomed to having their own way and say in government. Now, for that freedom to be taken away was very difficult for them. And in this particular case, it resulted in the use of violence for their voices to be heard.
Think about it. Think about when you're grounded for doing something wrong, and all those rights that you once had were taken away. It's a very difficult time. It's not fun. And that's exactly what the colonists felt like, is that they were being grounded, and they hadn't even done anything wrong.
All right, so as more and more colonists poured into Virginia, more and more Native Americans were pushed off their land. As you can imagine, tensions grew between these two groups. Colonists felt it was the job of the government to protect them from Native American attacks.
Nathaniel Bacon and his supporters were some of those colonists, and they decided enough was enough and that they had to stand up to the governor. And so they did that by burning Jamestown to the ground, and they drove that royal governor out of the colony. This freedom lasted just a short while, however, because Bacon died shortly after, and the rebellion couldn't stand with its outspoken leader. However, let this be foreshadowing of what is to come when it comes to the colonists. When the colonists disagree with the English government, they will continue to react, and they will continue to use violence.
All right, so on to Massachusetts. Again, here we have a very big date highlighted. That would be 1620, and that is
when the Pilgrims came to Massachusetts and settled in Massachusetts.
All right.
Massachusetts, another great colony. This one was founded in 1620. Is it me, or is that your glowing? I wonder why. Oh, that's probably because you need to memorize it. So let's say it 5 times really fast. Really, really fast. Massachusetts was founded in 1620. 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 Whew, that was a mouthful.
Remember, when we talked about the Protestant Reformation? Well, I sure hope so. We just talked about it a few slides back.
Well, the Pilgrims and the Puritans were one of those groups who were persecuted for their beliefs. So the Pilgrims received permission from the king to move to Virginia.
Yeah, that's right. I said Virginia. However, they were blown off course and landed in Massachusetts instead. William Bradford was the head of this group of Pilgrims, and they realized at once that they were not in Virginia.
So, before they even left the ship, they established a system of self-government. All men had to sign the Mayflower Compact, which established the principle of majority rule. In other words, all Pilgrims had to follow what the majority said. We still use this principle today. So again, we see this idea of self-government and important ideas like majority rule already being established in colonial times. This will be huge when our founding fathers sit down and establish our government.
Okay, let's talk about the whole Pilgrim versus Puritan deal. Pilgrims are people who make a journey for religious reasons. Some historians have stated that Pilgrims are truly just Puritans, but were named Pilgrims for making the journey to America. Some argue that they truly were 2 separate religious groups who eventually merged into one. No matter what, we will be referring to them all as Puritans from here on out.
All right, let's discuss the government in Massachusetts. Since it was founded for religious reasons, the church was tied into every aspect of life. Even the government in Massachusetts was linked with the church. In fact, you had to be a church member to vote.
Leaders in the church were also the political leaders. So, if you were not a Puritan, you were an outcast. You couldn't participate in much without being involved in the church. Of course, there were some good points that came from Massachusetts.
Since church was so important to the community, everyone participated in making decisions regarding the church. These then spilled over into making decisions about the town.